The trial that history pretends never happened. History records wars, kings, and revolutions. But some trials are never written down, not because they were unimportant, but because the verdict was never meant to be known. In the early 1900s, deep within a colonial administrative capital, a closed-door trial took place that had no public announcement, no press coverage, and no official transcript released to the public. Yet dozens of witnesses were summoned, and none of them ever spoke about it again. The trial was not held in a courtroom. Instead, it took place in a reinforced administrative chamber normally used for emergency councils. Guards were posted at every entrance, and all participants were sworn to silence under penalty that was never specified, but clearly understood. The accused was not a criminal in the traditional sense. He was a civil servant, an archivist, a man whose job was to organize, verify, and preserve historical records. According to fragmented correspondence discovered decades later, the archivist had reported an anomaly, not in one document, but across multiple records spanning several years. Entire events had occurred without leaving a trace, not erased, never recorded. Train routes used by thousands that did not exist in transport logs. Public gatherings that appeared in photographs but had no permits, no announcements, no aftermath. The archivist believes history itself was malfunctioning. At first, his superiors dismissed him. Then they ordered him to stop investigating. When he refused, the trial was convened. No charges were formally stated. Witnesses later recalled that the questions asked were deeply unsettling. Not what he had found, but how much he understood. They asked him whether history could exist without observers, whether events needed documentation to be real, whether truth mattered if no record remained. At one point, a witness claimed the accused asked a single question in return. If history fails to remember something, did it ever truly happen? The room reportedly fell silent. What followed was never officially recorded, but letters written by one of the observers years later suggest that the trial ended without a verdict. Instead, a decision was made, not about guilt, but about containment. After the trial, the archivist was not imprisoned. He was not executed. He was reassigned to a minor clerical position with no access to records. Within 2 years, references to him disappeared. Employment logs ended. Census data removed his name. Even his residential address was reassigned to another occupant, as if he had never lived there. The trial chamber itself was repurposed. Blueprints were altered. The room's designation changed. But anomalies continued. Researchers noticed that after the trial, gaps in historical records increased. Entire administrative years showed inconsistencies. Events mentioned casually in private letters had no official documentation. It was as though the system had learned to correct itself, not by fixing errors but by preventing their discovery. Decades later, during a mass archive digitization project, a technician found a damaged box mislabeled under an unrelated department. Inside were fragments of notes, handwritten observations, marginalia that did not belong to any official report. One page contained a sentence repeated multiple times. History is not what happened. It is what survived inspection. Another note referenced the trial directly, calling it the moment the record closed in on itself. Shortly after these fragments were reported, access to the archive was restricted. The box disappeared. The technician was transferred. Official statements claimed no such materials ever existed. Today, historians debate whether the trial was an early attempt to manage narrative control or something more abstract, a realization that history itself can be shaped not by lies but by silence. Because the most effective way to control the past is not to rewrite it. It is to decide what is never allowed to be recorded at all. If you enjoyed this mystery, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to Midnight Historian for more chilling historical stories the world trying to forget. This video contains historical accounts blended with speculative interpretations. Some details are based on oral testimony, fragmented records, and indirect evidence and may not be fully verifiable. The content is presented for educational storytelling purposes.